Tonight, when you fall asleep, your brain is going to build a movie where you're the actor, the director, and the entire audience all at once. No script, no rehearsal. And yet, every single night without fail, your brain will construct a fully rendered world. People will talk to you who don't exist. You'll walk through places you've never actually seen. And by the time you wake up, you'll forget about 95% of it like it never happened at all. Now, think about this. Over your lifetime, you'll spend roughly 6 years of your life dreaming. 6 years. And despite that massive investment in 2026, with all our advanced neuroscience labs and brain scanning technology, scientists still can't fully agree on why we do it. Is it just random electrical noise? Or is your brain trying to tell you something your waking life never could? Let's start where science first began taking dreams seriously. 1953, University of Chicago. A graduate student named Eugene Oserinsky was observing his 8-year-old son's sleep, using a machine designed to track eye movement. He noticed something strange during certain phases of sleep. The eyes darted back and forth rapidly, almost as if they were watching something. Together with his professor, Nathaniel Kleitman, they named this stage REM rapid eye movement sleep. This discovery completely restructured how we understood sleep. Before this, scientists assumed sleep was basically an off-switch brain shutdown, body resting. But REM proved something wild. During certain phases of sleep, your brain is just as active as when you're awake, sometimes more. In a single night, your body typically cycles through 4 to 6 REM phases, occurring roughly every 90 minutes. The first REM phase only lasts about 10 minutes, but as the night progresses, these phases stretch out. By early morning, your final REM phase can last 30 to 40 minutes, and that's exactly when your most vivid, story-like dreams tend to happen. But here's an interesting question. Before REM was even discovered, what did humans think dreams were? The answer is surprising. Our fascination with dreams goes back thousands of years before REM sleep was ever measured. In ancient Egypt, the Chester Beatty Papyrus, dated around 1275 BCE, was essentially a full dream dictionary, explaining what different dream symbols meant. Egyptians believed dreams were messages from the gods, and temples employed dream priests specifically to interpret them. In Mesopotamia, the Epic of Gilgamesh, possibly the oldest written story in human history, places dreams at the center of the plot, with Gilgamesh interpreting his friends' dreams as divine warnings. So, essentially, the thing we now casually call REM sleep is something your ancestors were obsessing over thousands of years ago. They just didn't have EEG machines. They had priests instead. This is where things get genuinely fascinating because discovering REM didn't actually answer the real question. Why do we dream at all? The first major scientific theory came in 1977, when Harvard psychiatrists Alan Hobson and Robert McCarley published a paper in the American Journal of Psychiatry, introducing what's now called the activation synthesis hypothesis. Their argument was simple but also a little humbling. During REM sleep, they argued, the brainstem fires random electrical signals. Your cortex, the part responsible for logic and meaning, tries to make sense of that random noise by constructing a story out of it. In other words, dreams aren't messages. They're your brain's desperate attempt to interpret static. This theory was revolutionary because it directly challenged Sigmund Freud's 1899 claim in his book, The Interpretation of Dreams, where he argued every dream was a symbolic representation of a repressed, hidden desire. Freud's theory dominated psychology for decades, but once scientists actually started scanning brains, the evidence just didn't hold up the way Freud predicted. But the story doesn't end there. In the early 2000s, Finnish cognitive scientist Antti Revonsuo introduced a completely different angle, threat simulation theory. His argument was that dreams aren't random noise at all. They're an evolutionary training ground. Revonsuo demonstrated that dream content disproportionately features threats, being chased, falling, being attacked far more than these events occur in real waking life. His hypothesis, thousands of years ago, Early humans who practiced escaping predators in their dreams had better real-world survival odds. Essentially, dreaming was a prehistoric flight simulator. To test this, researchers studied the dreams of children living in war zones like Kurdish refugee children in Iraq. The result? Threat-related content in their dreams was dramatically higher compared to children from peaceful environments. This data directly supports the idea that dreams reflect real anxieties, they're not just random. Then comes a third major name, Matthew Walker, neuroscientist at UC Berkeley, and author of the best-selling book Why We Sleep. Walker's lab ran a fascinating experiment. They showed participants emotionally disturbing images, some right before sleep, some after a full night's sleep. Participants who had gone through REM sleep, meaning they had dreamed, showed a significantly reduced emotional reaction the next time they viewed the same image. Walker calls this overnight therapy. His theory is that during REM sleep, the brain strips the emotional chemical coating off disturbing memories. You still remember the event, but the emotional sting fades. Interestingly, during REM sleep, your brain almost completely shuts off the stress hormone noradrenaline, a unique state that never happens while you're awake. One more researcher worth mentioning, Rosalind Cartwright, dream researcher at Rush University Medical Center. She ran a landmark study tracking the dreams of recently divorced individuals. Her finding: people who dreamed more frequently about their ex-partner, even if those dreams were painful, showed significantly lower depression symptoms 12 months later, compared to those who dreamed about their ex less. The implication? Dreaming might not be decoration. It might be an active tool for emotional processing. So now you've got three completely different scientific theories: random noise, Hobson-McCarley; survival training, Revansuo; and emotional healing, Walker, Cartwright. And here's the frustrating part: all three have real, peer-reviewed evidence behind them. Science still hasn't settled on one single answer. Maybe dreams do all three at once. Now, let's ask a different question. How did our understanding of dreams evolve over time? At first, as we saw, dreams were divine messages across Egypt, Mesopotamia, Greece, everywhere. But then came an unexpected shift. Aristotle, in his essay on dreams, written around 350 BCE, Aristotle took a radically different position. He argued dreams weren't divine at all. They were simply residual sensory activity continuing during sleep. For its time, this was an almost heretical idea, because the entire society treated dreams as prophecy. And here was Aristotle saying, no, this is just biology. And then, for centuries, things basically stayed frozen. Dreams remained half mystical, half medical, until Freud completely flipped the conversation in 1899, making dreams a central subject of psychology. But here's something nobody really tells you. Many of Freud's famous case studies, the ones his entire theory was built on, were later challenged by modern researchers because they lacked any replicable, testable evidence. Freud's approach was more interpretation than science. Real scientific measurement began when Calvin Hall, an American psychologist, launched a massive project in the 1940s and 50s collecting over 50,000 dream reports and conducting a systematic content analysis. This was the first time dreams were studied based on what actually happens in them instead of what they symbolically mean. And his results were surprising. Hall found that the most common emotion in dreams is anxiety, not romance or adventure like pop culture suggests. He also found that strangers appear in dreams more frequently than family members, which is fairly counterintuitive. But here's what nobody tells you. The real turning point came when REM was discovered, because suddenly researchers had a way to objectively measure dreams. For the first time, dreams weren't just philosophy, they became biology. You could put someone in a lab, monitor their brainwaves, and know exactly when they were dreaming without asking them a single word. And that's the exact moment dream science split into two camps: those who believe dreams are meaningful, Cartwright, Revansuo, and those who see them as mostly a biological byproduct, Hobson. That debate is still unresolved today. So where does all this history leave us today? In the 2020s, dream research has entered a completely new phase, and one discovery will genuinely surprise you. People who are congenitally blind, born without sight, still dream, but their dreams contain no visuals whatsoever. Their dreams are built entirely from sound, touch, smell, and emotion. This directly proves dreaming is a fundamental brain process, not just recorded footage from your eyes. Here's another compelling modern statistic. On average, people forget 95% of their dreams within 5 minutes of waking up. If you don't write it down immediately, chances are it's gone permanently. Researchers explain this through neurochemistry. During REM sleep, the brain region responsible for transferring short-term memories into long-term storage, hippocampus to prefrontal cortex, is partially offline. Your brain, quite literally, isn't wired to remember it.
But perhaps the most compelling modern experiment is this. Researchers have shown that when people go completely off-grid from artificial light like on a camping trip, no phones, no electricity, their entire sleep-wake cycle naturally resets within a week, aligning with sunset. Colorado University researcher Kenneth Wright ran a study sending participants camping for a week with zero access to artificial light. The result? Their melatonin levels, the hormone that triggers sleep, began rising roughly 2 hours after sunset, matching the natural rhythm our ancestors lived by, but one that's been almost completely disrupted by modern artificial light-heavy living. What does this have to do with dreams? Simple. If your sleep timing is disrupted, your REM cycle is disrupted too. And modern sleep researchers believe this is exactly why so many people today struggle to recall their dreams or experience fragmented, inconsistent ones. Your ancestors, who slept purely by sunlight, likely experienced deeper, more consistent, and possibly more emotionally therapeutic dreams, exactly the kind Matthew Walker documented in his lab.
So, essentially, the same capacity your ancestors had deep, consistent, emotionally processing dreams still exists inside you today. Modern life just makes it a lot harder to access. So here's a question worth sitting with. What if dreams aren't a malfunction at all? What if they're an ancient system that's still running, and we've simply forgotten how to listen to it? Think about it. Every single night, without any effort, your brain enters a world it built entirely on its own. It simulates your fears so you're better equipped to face them. It processes your emotional wounds so you wake up just a little lighter. And then, like a secret meant only for you, it erases it, 95% gone within minutes, permanently. For thousands of years, humans have noticed this same phenomenon, whether it was an Egyptian priest, or Aristotle, or Freud, or a modern neuroscientist staring at REM data in a lab. Everyone has been looking at the same mystery, just from different angles, and maybe the most honest answer is this: we simply don't fully know. Despite all our advanced technology, we still haven't completely figured out the most basic, most nightly ritual our own brains perform. Tonight, when you fall asleep, your brain will do the exact same thing it's always done. Build an entire world, a story meant only for you, and erase it by morning like it never happened. Maybe that dream is a rehearsal for tomorrow's fear. Maybe it's healing something you didn't even know was broken. Or maybe we can only say this much: every single night, you go through one of the strangest, most personal, and most quickly forgotten experiences of your entire life. And most of us never even stop to think about it.